Think about the last time you finished a meal, and instead of feeling light, you felt heavy, tired, almost like your body wanted to shut down for an hour just to recover from eating. When did that stop being the exception and start being the pattern? Let me tell you about a man I'll call Robert, 63 years old. He didn't walk in with one big complaint. He came with a quiet list that had been building for almost 2 years. Bloating by mid-afternoon, even on light meals. A kind of foggy tiredness after lunch that a nap never quite fixed. Bathroom habits that had turned unpredictable in a way he'd stopped mentioning to anyone. Skin a little duller than it used to be. Evenings where his mood just went flat, for no obvious reason. None of it alone seemed worth a doctor's visit. Together, though, that combination is one I've seen hundreds of times. It isn't random, it's the gut, quietly drifting out of balance in a way nobody had ever explained to him. I'm Dr. William Lee, and for 18 years I've worked with people over age on exactly this, the slow, cumulative gut changes that never show up as a diagnosis, yet show up in everything else. Energy, mood, skin, sleep. Today's video walks you through the exact habits that fix this, backed by real research, not trends. Stay through the whole thing, because habit 4 is the one almost everyone gets wrong without realizing it. And habit 6 is the one that decides whether your results last or quietly disappear within a month. Grounded, no-nonsense health information. If that's what you're after, hit subscribe now. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who need it. Now let's get into it. Before any of the habits will make sense, you need one idea first. The gut doesn't fail all at once. It drifts. 3 shifts happen gradually, almost always without anyone noticing. Bacterial diversity narrows first. Research consistently shows that as we age, the range of beneficial bacterial species in the gut shrinks. Fewer species means a less stable ecosystem, one that gets knocked off balance more easily by stress, medication, or a simple change in diet. Digestion also slows. The muscle contractions that move food through your gut become less efficient over time, partly from changes in the nerve network that controls them. Because of this, bloating tends to build as the day goes on, and constipation becomes far more common after 60 than most people expect. Then there's the one nobody talks about enough. The gut lining becomes more permeable with age. The tight junctions between the cells lining your intestine loosen slightly, which may allow certain bacterial byproducts to slip into circulation. Scientists are still mapping exactly how far-reaching this is, but the emerging link to low-grade inflammation and its downstream effects on energy, mood, and even heart health is consistent enough that it shouldn't be waved away. Put those 3 together and you get a cascade. Diversity drops, motility slows, permeability rises. Each one quietly makes the next one worse. Because this unfolds over years rather than weeks, most people write the symptoms off as just getting older instead of recognizing something specific and correctable. Here's the part that actually matters most. This is reversible. Not overnight and not with a single supplement. Applied consistently and in the right order, these habits genuinely shift how your gut functions, at any age, including yours right now. One more thing worth knowing before we start. Movement plays a bigger role in this than most gut health content ever mentions. A simple 20-30-minute walk, especially after your largest meal, has been linked in multiple studies to greater microbial diversity and faster gut transit time. Independent of anything you eat, keep that in your back pocket. It stacks with every habit below. The habits. Habit 1. Stop feeding the problem before you try to fix it. Linda, 61, had taken an over-the-counter antacid every night for almost 3 years, convinced her evening discomfort was simply reflux she'd have to live with. Gut repair, in most people's minds, starts with adding things that more fiber, more probiotics, more supplements. Often, though, the first and most effective move is removing what's actively working against you. 3 offenders show up again and again. Ultra-processed foods, low in fiber and high in refined sugar, which feed the wrong bacteria preferentially. Regular alcohol use, which reduces microbial diversity and increases gut permeability at the same time. And long-term, habitual use of certain medications, especially acid reducers, which shift the pH of the upper digestive tract in ways that ripple downstream. Nobody needs to eliminate everything overnight. Piling good habits on top of daily sugar and alcohol, though, is like planting good seeds in poisoned soil. The removal has to come first, or nothing else works nearly as well as it should. Habit 2. Hydrate on purpose, not by accident. David, 67, drank 3 cups of coffee every morning and almost no water, and had dealt with constipation for years despite trying fiber supplements on and off. Water isn't just good for you in a vague, general sense, it's the actual mechanism that makes fiber work at all. Without enough fluid, fiber can make constipation worse instead of better because it pulls water out of your gut contents and becomes dense rather than soft. 16 to 20 ounces first thing in the morning, before coffee, before anything else, that's the habit that actually moves the needle. It rehydrates the gut after the overnight fast and helps trigger the body's natural urge to go. From there, steady intake through the day matters more than any single big glass. Most people should aim for roughly half their body weight in ounces. Drinking most of your water in the evening is the mistake nearly everyone makes without realizing it. It does almost nothing for morning digestion and mostly just interrupts sleep. Habit 3. Add fiber. Slowly, not all at once. Carol, 69, increased her fiber intake once, ended up more bloated than before she started, and decided fiber simply didn't agree with her. Bloating from fiber almost always signals that it was added too fast. Not that fiber itself is the problem. Fermentation is the mechanism at play here. Your gut bacteria break fiber down, and a sudden spike in intake produces gas faster than your system can clear it. 3 to 5 grams a day added per week rather than all at once. That's the pace the evidence actually supports. Cooked vegetables, oats, and fruit make gentler starting points than beans and lentils. Combining soluble fiber, oats, apples, flaxseed with insoluble fiber, whole grains, vegetable skins tends to outperform relying on just one type. Multiple clinical reviews confirm that fiber introduced this way meaningfully improves stool frequency and consistency. It genuinely works. Pacing more than quantity is what determines whether it feels good or backfires. Habit 4. Bring in fermented foods. The one almost everyone skips. Margaret, 65, had assumed fermented foods were either too exotic or too strong tasting to become a real daily habit, so she never tried. Skipping this step is the single most common gap I see, largely because people assume a probiotic capsule covers the same ground. It doesn't, not quite. Fermented foods, plain yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, miso, deliver live bacteria alongside a whole matrix of organic acids and enzymes that appear to benefit the gut environment on their own, separate from the bacteria itself. Start small. 1 fermented food a day in a modest portion is enough. Eat a few tablespoons of sauerkraut with a meal or a small serving of plain kefir. Going overboard on day 1 causes the same fermentation-related bloating fiber can cause when it's rushed. Read the label before you buy, because flavored, sugar-loaded yogurt largely cancels out the benefit you're going for. Plain varieties are where the active cultures actually survive intact. Habit 5. Respect your gut's cleaning cycle. Frank, 70, ate reasonably well but snacked constantly, rarely going more than 2 hours without putting something in his mouth. Few people have ever heard this, so it's worth explaining properly. Your small intestine runs a built-in cleaning cycle called the migrating motor complex. Roughly every 90 to 120 minutes between meals, it sweeps through and clears leftover food and bacteria that shouldn't be sitting there. Crucially, it only switches on when you're not eating. Constant grazing shuts it off completely. Left suppressed long enough, bacteria that belong in the colon can start creeping into the small intestine, and chronic bloating and gas that never seem to have an obvious cause tend to follow. 3 meals a day, spaced 4 to 5 hours apart with a 12-hour overnight window without food, that's the whole habit. Nobody's fasting dramatically here. You're simply giving your gut the gaps it was built to use. Habit 6. Use probiotics correctly, not randomly. Everything changes with this one, and it's also the step people get wrong most often. Grabbing a random probiotic, taking it inconsistently for a week or two, and concluding probiotics don't work for me is an extremely common pattern and an avoidable one. The research actually tells a far more specific story. Strain matters and consistency matters even more than brand or price. Look for a multi-strain formula containing both lactobacillus and bifidobacterium species. Daily use with a meal rather than an empty stomach for a minimum of 4 weeks. That's the protocol worth following before judging results. 4 weeks isn't an arbitrary number, it's roughly how long a measurable shift in gut bacteria takes to show up. Combined consistently with habits 1 through 5, many people notice bloating easing within the first week and more regular digestion within 2 to 3. Habit 7, turn the reset into a permanent baseline. Whether your results last or quietly reverse comes down to this final step. Susan, 68, followed a plan almost identical to this one, felt dramatically better within 3 weeks, went right back to her old habits, and was back to square one within 6. Here's the uncomfortable truth behind that. Your gut environment responds to whatever you feed it right now, not to what you did 3 weeks ago. Feeling better isn't the finish line. It's the signal that the approach is working and needs to become permanent, not something you quietly retire once symptoms ease. The maintenance version doesn't need the full intensity of the reset. It just needs to be consistent. A steady fiber baseline, fermented food most days, structured meal timing instead of constant grazing, daily hydration, and a probiotic course revisited periodically rather than only during a deliberate fix-it phase. 5 questions are worth bringing to your next doctor's appointment. Write them down if that helps. Could any of my current medications be affecting my gut, and should we talk about alternatives or timing? Based on my symptoms, should I be evaluated for something more specific rather than general digestive trouble? Is there a particular probiotic strain or fiber type you'd recommend given my health history? Would any kind of gut function testing make sense for what I'm experiencing? Could my digestive symptoms be a side effect of something I'm already taking? A doctor who waves those off or suggests digestive issues are simply something to accept at your age is telling you something about the depth of care you're getting, not something true about your body. For the next 30 days, here's the challenge. Pick 3 habits from today's video, not all 7. 1 from the remove side, 1 from the add side, and commit to the eating window specifically because on its own, that habit tends to move the needle more than people expect. Today, write down how you feel, your energy, your bloating, your digestion. Check back in 30 days. A perfect protocol was never the requirement. A consistent one is, and the difference will genuinely surprise you. Your gut isn't broken, and it isn't just getting older. It's a responsive system that hasn't been given what it needs, and that can start changing today at any age, including yours. Subscribe if this helped. That's exactly what this channel exists for. And if a simple way to track these habits day to day sounds useful, grab the free guide linked below. See you in the next one.